All right, let's bring in Megyn Kelly, great friend of my show. She's the host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Megyn, thank you for joining us. You can watch the Megyn Kelly Show on SiriusXM, Triumph Channel 111 weekdays, and you can also go to YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Definitely watch her podcast. And Megyn, I was listening to your podcast today, and we were talking a little bit about what's going on at CNN and Zucker. I want to get to that in a minute, but please weigh in on this series. We're talking about Kamala Harris all week, and you know, she has a horrible approval rating, but I think she's earned it. What do you say? What are your thoughts about the vice president?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it in terms of her evolution when it comes to crime. You know, she sort of had a more mixed approach when she was the Attorney General of California. But that was at a time when tough on crime policies had fallen back in vogue. You know why? Because crime had risen. And taking our foot off the gas pedal when it comes to going after criminals is a luxury we can only afford when there's low crime. And then you know what happens? Crime goes back up. And we need to get tough on crime again. And unfortunately for her, she's gone exactly the opposite way. She's a soft on crime person now, just like the George Soros funded DAs in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Philadelphia, in Chicago, and now in Manhattan, the city behind me, you can see in the picture. Alvin Bragg is a real problem. And that's why you heard Jason Rivera's wife call him out by name at his funeral last week, one of those two young cops who was killed in that apartment in Harlem. He, among other things, Eric, I mean, the list is so long of what he's done to try to roll back the law and the tough on crime penalties that we had in place in New York City. Among other things, he's basically said it's okay to resist arrest. He's no longer going to prosecute people for resisting arrest. And you know what else he's not going to do? If you had killed a cop a year ago in Manhattan, you could have been subjected to the death penalty. No more. Not under Alvin Bragg, because it's open season on cops. You cannot get the death penalty under Alvin Bragg. He's not going to pursue it, and he's not going to let anybody in his office pursue it. And this is why you have the widows calling him out by name, even when he's sitting there in the church. At least I'll give him some credit. He showed up. He had the guts, unlike Joe Biden, right? Unlike Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, she went out to Wisconsin to be with Jacob Blake after he'd been shot by a cop. We now know after he'd attacked that cop with a knife, she went and called him a hero. She found time for him. Where was her time for the fallen, for the families of the fallen here in New York? Haven't seen it. She doesn't care. It doesn't help her politically. It's one of the many reasons why people do not like her.
You know, Megyn, every morning I read all these newsletters, political newsletters, and it shows the president's schedule, the vice president's schedule as well. He had almost nothing on his schedule today, but he chose to come to New York tomorrow. Why not today, on a day where he could swing by the St. Patrick's Cathedral before he goes and meets with Eric Adams and pay his respects to a fallen officer? Is he worried about the optics of Biden, the administration, supporting cops?
He didn't have the spine. Right? He didn't. It's like Justin Trudeau ducking those truckers in Canada, just as they come and they want to speak with him about his vaccine mandate. He didn't have the spine, so he tucked tail and he ran. And Joe Biden didn't have the spine to come face those cops mourning their brethren today. He didn't want to have a moment like Alvin Bragg, the soft on crime DA, had at the funeral last week, where the Jason Rivera's family refused to come out at the wake until he left. Now, listen, I've got to give the guy credit for showing up and allowing a moment that was not good for him politically. At least he was there. But Joe Biden doesn't have the guts for that, Eric. He would never put himself in that position. His PR is too important to him. And honestly, it's not totally dissimilar to what happened with his Supreme Court nomination. Why couldn't he just come out and say the name of the woman he's going to select? Why couldn't he have just found the black woman he wants to elevate to the Supreme Court and said, this is her? Why did he have to say in advance, I'm selecting a black woman? Because he wanted the points. It was more important to him that he tried to drive up his poll numbers, first in South Carolina in the primaries, and now this week when he's struggling in the polls, than it was to preserve whoever this woman is, her dignity and her ability to celebrate what will be a huge moment for her, rather than calling attention to her race and her gender. It's all about him.
Well, let's hope he does a better job picking. Well, he said, I warn you, I'm going to take an African-American woman as my vice president if I win. He did. Her poll number somewhere around 55% disapproval right now. Let's hope he does a better job with the Supreme Court. Megyn, earlier today, some breaking news. It kind of shocked the media world. Jeff Zucker, the chairman, the boss man over at CNN, said he had to resign because of a romantic relationship he was having with a subordinate that he didn't talk about for a long time. Her name is Allison Gollust.
Allison Gollust.
Now, yeah, you've been, listen, and the reason why I want to talk to you about this, you know these people very well. I know these people very well. Tell us what you know, what you think, what you believe is going on over there.
Well, I think there's a couple of things happening here. First of all, it was an open secret that these two were having an affair. She was an executive vice president of the company and is right now, and his direct report for most of the last several years. But she was not always an executive vice president. She was much lower on the totem pole when he brought her over from NBC, where they had worked together back during his Matt Lauer years. And he promoted her up the line. And it's no accident, in my view, that both of them tried to claim that their affair only began, quote, recently. She claimed during COVID, when if you ask anyone at CNN, they will tell you that's a lie, that this has been going on for years. And that's what makes it particularly controversial. It's not that, as Allison Camerata was trying to claim on CNN moments ago, two consenting adults who found each other. Why is that so bad? That's not it at all. Talk about, I mean, once again, CNN talks about its own scandal on the air and buries the relevant facts. This is about the chief of a news organization beginning an affair with an underling, a lower level staffer, and promoting her up the ranks while they were having an affair without disclosing it. Mm-hmm. That is what appears to have happened here. Mm-hmm. And who I want to hear from are the lower level PR execs.
Well, why haven't we heard from Megyn? What took
and let's
so
find
long?
out whether they feel about it the way Allison Camerata does.
Well, exactly. And let's get them on the record. I agree with you 100%. But that is a violation of so many, so many laws that are written to protect victims of sexual harassment.
It's multi-layered,
right,
Eric.
Multi-layered. But why not? If you and I both know, let's be honest, it's an open secret. It's the worst kept secret in television that Zucker and Golub were a thing. I used to see him years ago hang out. But so what took so long for someone to say something? Were they afraid of Jeff Zucker? I'll tell you what. There's a Jennifer Smith who wrote an article in the Daily Mail today who said he was forced to resign. Jay-Z was forced to resign because of it. Yeah. Not because he 100%. Wanted. He was forced to because Chris Cuomo was going to roll on this whole thing.
So Chris Cuomo's suing CNN for his $18 million because he believes he was fired without cause, and the company saying he was fired with cause. And I'm sure Chris Cuomo is alleging that what's your standard for behavior that brings shame upon the company? Because you brought a whole lot yourself, Jeff Zucker. Why did you have an affair with your executive vice president? Why did you promote her up the line over all these years? And this woman, here's the interesting twist, where did she work before she worked for Jeff Zucker at CNN? She worked for Andrew Cuomo, Eric. She was his comms director for Andrew Cuomo. And there's a question about just how close she was to Andrew Cuomo and whether that played some sort of a role in CNN's first instinct when it came to Chris Cuomo's misbehavior with respect to his brother, which was to cover it up, which was to allow it, which was to encourage it, which was to look the other way. And only late in the game, when facts kept coming out about what Chris had done to protect Andrew, did Jeff Zucker finally say, okay, you're fired? And there are real questions that remain about what finally made him do that and what made him protect Chris Cuomo for so long.
Final thought, and we got to go after, but final thought, there are those who thought the new powers that be on the parent company of CNN wanted Jeff out, and this was their opportunity to do that. For me, that doesn't sit well. This feels like this came from Cuomo's camp.
Oh, well, I'm sure that they're holding this over him. But I mean, the facts are the facts, and he's admitting that he did it. And I'll tell you what, the biggest takeaway for me today, because there will be more shoes to drop, mark my words. But the biggest takeaway for me today is for months.
Wait, hold on. Megyn Kelly, don't drop that bomb without following that up. What do you mean there's more issues to drop from CNN? What do you got?
There's nothing I can report to you now, but mark my words, there are more shoes to drop. But what I was going to say is that the biggest takeaway for me today is that for months we've been asking, how does Jeffrey Toobin still have his job after masturbating himself on his Zoom call with the New Yorker while a CNN chief legal correspondent for the Supreme Court, a dignified post that he never should have kept after that happened? How does Don Lemon still have a job after he's been credibly accused of fondling himself and then rubbing his hands all over some stranger in a bar who's got an eyewitness ready to testify as such? And how did Chris Cuomo keep his job for so long after it emerged that he was helping his brother go after the women who had been accusing him and so on, after lying about it on the air and claiming he cares deeply about these issues? How? Well, now we know how. The boss had dirt of his own, and he was worried that they would turn the tables and point the finger at him. And now it's happened, and there's more to this story.
Wow. Megyn Kelly, after you break it on your show, I'd love to have you back on to talk about it. Got a deal?
You bet. Right. We do. Great
to
see you.
Megyn, always good having you on, my very good friend. Thanks for joining us. You can catch the Megyn Kelly Show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. You better. It's a great podcast.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.